вечер, уважаемые коллеги. Мы с вами начинаем сегодня очень интересную лекцию. Я буду говорить по-русски, потому что, мне кажется, все понимают по-русски, а Мичи я потом коротко переведу, о чем я сказала. Сегодня у нас с вами очень интересная встреча с японским специалистом, который много лет занимается проблемой формирования, развития умных городов. Это господин Michinaga Kohno. Michi, I introduce you to our group. You can say hi. Мы познакомились с Мичи не так давно, но очень активно занимаемся совместной работой. И самое главное, у него сложился достаточно системный подход к определению умного города и к тому, как это понятие трансформируется в современном мире. Мы имели возможность познакомиться с Мичи на климатическом форуме, который проходил в Москве не так давно, и была у него очень интересная специальная лекция на эту тему. И после этой встречи мы решили пригласить его в Высшую школу экономики, потому что в прошлом году, и даже в этом году, в прошлом учебном году, у нас был специальный курс Smart City, и было записано очень большое количество участников для этого курса. И мы сочли обязательным познакомить вас с тем подходом, который сформировал Мичи Kohno. Он очень много лет работал в разных компаниях, Hitachi, все, но сейчас он создал свою собственную мастерскую, которая занимается проблемой развития умных городов. У меня больше нет слов, то есть у меня слов много, но я хочу в большей степени передать возможность Мичи. Он будет говорить на английском языке. Но поскольку он не носитель языка, да, я думаю, что всем будет очень понятно, как он говорит. Не стесняйтесь потом задавать ему вопросы, переспрашивать, уточнять. Michi, please.
Thank you, Irina, for your kind introduction, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As Irina introduced, I'm Michi Kohno from Japan, and I'm a kind of a freelance consultant in the area of smart city, and I spent 40 years in Hitachi, and I work in the research lab and corporate offices, and then I started on my company of consultancy of smart cities, and I've been very much connected with the Russian friends. And as you can see in this slide, I've been invited to many occasions of in Russia. And so I will now talk about the general trend of the changes of the understanding of smart city in the world, and then specifically I will talk about some issues about the smart city in big cities like Moscow and Tokyo, and then some my thoughts on the Moscow smart cities. So let me sit down and talk. And this is, I've been, as a background, as I mentioned earlier, that I am a freelance consultant of smart city, and I've been visiting many conferences, kind of type of events in the world, and also visited many cities which are regarded as smart cities, and this is my impression of the changing images of smart cities, and the word smart city has been used since 2007 or 8, and during the first stage, the first boom of smart city came. And at that time, there are two extreme models. One is network city. They are mainly in the United States and in Europe. They consider the smart city as a networked city, and the networking of urban infrastructure will create new value. This is the idea of smart city of the early days. And the other extreme model of smart city during the first hype is the energy efficient cities, which are mainly boomed in Japan and in China, and use of renewable energy sources and the energy management systems kind of thing. And this is the first boom. Then the period of the disappointment came after this first hype, because networking without purposes did not create any new values. So people in the cities realized that this old model of a network city were mainly advocated by ICT companies from Europe and from the United States. But after some period, the people of the cities realized that just bringing the infrastructure together or just collecting data is not valuable, and mistrust on the concept of proposed by ICT companies has lost the trust by municipal officials. And at the same time, the energy efficient cities, this is mainly in Japan, that there are during the first hype, there was an expectation that a new industry or new service businesses will be created by the kind of energy management services. But after a couple of years, they found it difficult to find viable business models of the energy management services. Even if they invest, the energy management service company invest in new technologies, the end users, the consumers could not pay more for these new services. So it was very difficult to find viable business model for these service companies, and also for the consumers. They felt the consumers or residents who are living in this using this technology were tired of saving energies. So residents tired of energy saving efforts. So at the first stage of the introduction of energy management system in the apartment houses and that kind of thing, 10% or 15% of energy saving has happened actually, but after 2 years, they have already squeezed and they have avoided the waste of energy. Then the energy saving has saturated. And since during the last 4 or 5 years, there's resurgence, the revival of the smart city boom or smart city approaches. And the new approach is resident-centric or people-centric approach to the city problems. So the purposes or objectives of a smart city is to improve the quality of life of the people, and the cities introduce the smart city technology in order to attract people to the city rather than the improvement of the efficiency of the city management. And so in this change of the mindset, there's the roles of the people, citizens, and academia, industry, and municipalities have changed, and they have found their right roles in the development of smart cities, and also new technologies like IoT, information of things, and big data and artificial intelligence are supporting as a new enablers to realize the ideas of the new smart city model. So, as a summary, the first during the first stage of smart city, the technologies were the leader of the concept of the and projects of the smart city, and lead players were the technology industry and the large companies and central government. Now the city problems to be solved is the first thing to be looked at, and then the solutions are crafted by the residents with new technologies as enablers. So now the lead players are resident and municipality, and also the industry. Among the industry, not only the large companies, but the startups and small companies are very important players in the development of the applications and the development of smart cities. And I will just show some examples of past smart city. This is the old model of the smart city, and one from Japan, and one from China, and one from US, and one from Europe. And the first one, Kitakyushu City in Japan. This is really the one of the as it is written at the top of the slide. The METI, M-E-T-I, is the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. This is a governmental project, the demonstration project. And they built the very nice energy management system. And they applied the dynamic pricing. So dynamic pricing of electricity. Dynamic pricing of electricity means that the price of the electricity will change according to the consumption and needs of the consumers, and also, you know, this is at the same time by the time of the day, in the morning and in the daytime and in the evening and during the night, they change the price of the electricity, and not the fixed price that can very dynamically change. And also this is an experiment to see how the people behave to the change of the prices of the residents. So this is a 5-year project, and they collected very interesting data. There were a lot of data obtained, but after this experiment of 5 years finished, nobody continued to operate this dynamic pricing because, as I mentioned earlier, there's no, the consumers would not pay more for this, actually, this kind of dynamic pricing system, I see this system to handle the pricing of the electricity. So they developed this system by the government funding, but after the government fund is over, they can't continue investing because they can't get the investment back, because nobody, even the power company or consumer, would not pay for more. So this is one example of energy saving type of smart city is very difficult. And this is Tianjin Eco City in China. And Tianjin is Tianjin Eco City is a new development on the greenfield development, and so building. They built a very large city, as you can see on the top photo. They built a lot of high-rise condominium, and on the ground where there was nothing. And EcoCity, as the name is called EcoCity, the environmental issues are the important target. And so they introduced here again the energy efficiency type of approaches like community energy management system. CEMS is community energy management system, and HEMS is home energy management system. And so these systems are introduced in all the condominium. But just like in the case of Japan, they cannot. The failure of this area is something different because they just built houses, condominiums without creating a new industry. So there's no, but these apartment houses or condominiums were sold out immediately just for investment. So nobody lived there after the completion of these apartment houses because there's no place to work for these people to live in this condominium. So this is Chinese, and this is a joint project between Chinese and the Singaporean government. And but actually, the Singaporean real estate company made big profit and went back to Singapore from China, and this is the only good result of this project. And here's another example of Dubuque in Iowa, United States, and this is regarded as the first smart city in the United States. It was started in 2007 or 8, and then IBM selected Dubuque as a pilot city of smart cities, and they collected they proposed the experimental handling of all the information or all the data of in the city management. And also, they proposed a new factory in the city to ensure the employment. And they collected and they tried to provide new services from the data they collected from the behavior of the people. But after this experiment, this is a privately invested experiment paid by IBM Corporation. And after this trial ended, and because all the investment was not covered by the profit, and this is also another example that the companies and the local government were providing new services which are not demanded or which are not needed by the people. And here's another example in Lyon. And this is part of Lyon in France. And the kind of different types of elements of smart city were brought together in the same place, like a local use of renewable energy, which are generated locally, and also the reduction of the use of conventional car by introducing electric vehicles, and they refurbished or retrofitted the new technology to existing buildings to improve the energy consumption efficiency. And all these projects are very scattered, and so each pieces have some effects and some good pieces. But these different pieces are not connected or not integrated as one concept. So this is also not very disastrous failure, but each piece, this is just like the showcase of different pieces. Now, we have learned these difficulties and different cases, and now from these experiences in the past, we can say that this is kind of my own definition. And smart city is an ecosystem in which the city has developed a system to identify its problems. This is very important. Identify its problems to reach the quality of life that people want to have. Second, to find a solution to the problems with the people. So it is very important to work with the people, not only the industry, not only the municipality. And thirdly, to implement the solution to reach the higher level of quality life. And this is one cycle, to find the problem, to find the solution, and to implement this solution and to solve the problem. Now, the fourth piece is very important, to keep repeating this process, the entire process, to continuously improve the quality of life of the people and the residents, as well as the level of the services of the municipality offers to the people. So this means that an ecosystem is a kind of system that automatically promote the improvement and spiral improvement. So just one project is not enough, and so although this is my personal definition, but I've been talking with my friend overseas everywhere in the States, and then many smart city experts agree that this smart city is not just this type, but or that type, but the smart city is a kind of ecosystem to improvement. And so each smart city has different aspect of the different aspect of the problems and the solutions. And there are three ways to solve the urban problems. And first is the solution by policies. So the players are municipality, and so the problems can be solved by policies. And the second one is the solution by the change of lifestyle of the residents, people who are living there. And finally, the solution by technology. So at the very early stage, the people are too much focused on this the technology solution, but you should look at other solutions by policies and change of lifestyles. And one of the professor in Japan in urban planning, urban engineering, proposed this diagram of triangle, and And the elements of the city growth are divided into the technologies, infrastructure, and institutions, and governance, and lifestyles. And so these elements have interactions with each other. And as indicated by the arrow on the right-hand side, technology, the volatility of technologies are high, which means that technologies are easy to change. And the lower part, as you go down lower, the volatility becomes lower, which means that the lower part are more difficult to change, and most difficult to change is the lifestyle. And so technologies are very easily changeable. And so at the beginning, the focus of smart cities were placed on the technologies and infrastructure, but at the new understanding of the lifestyle, smart city indicates smart. As this the title of the slide shows, smart cities are all about lifestyle, not the technology. So the smart city model creates new lifestyle of the future. So this is the new understanding of the smart cities, not very much on the technology aspect and also improvement of infrastructure, but the change of lifestyles. And how this change of smart city can be created. And the public and public-private partnership is very important, and they have a very important role of the development of a smart city. And this is the old model of public-private partnership. And in the old model, the PPP is just sharing of expenses between municipality and industry. And in this model, the industry is proactive, and they propose their proprietary integrated system of the vendors to the municipality. And municipalities are just reactive, and they receive grants from federal government. And so the relationship between municipality and industry, that the industry is teaching municipality to do this and share the expense between municipality and industry. But now the new model of public-private partnership is that you have university there and also residents, people living there. This is a very key player, essential player of the new PPP. So this kind of PPP model is new, but this is not my own invention. And a couple of American people, like the leader of Envision Shout, which is one of the leading organization to promote smart city in the United States. She also talked about this kind of 4 players. And as I mentioned earlier, this industry includes the ICT startups or small companies, not only the big companies. And in this structure of promotion of smart city development, the municipality is very important. They should be the lead player. And municipality and of course 4 players, all of the 4 players are equally important, but the lead player should be municipality. And federal government is not just for granting, but easing the regulations kind of approaches is very important. So some special zone, definition of a special zone kind of thing. And the role of universities is there are two ways. One is the research with the city. The university carry out their research project together with the city, and the city offers their structure or city itself as the ground of the experiment or field of the experiment. So city and university work together, and the university uses this project with the city as the tool of the education. And also, the university has a privilege of neutral position between municipality and industry, or municipality and resident. And when new type of activities or technology is introduced to the city, sometimes there's a conflict between municipality and industry, or municipality and the people. Then the university can draw a new rules between the municipality and people, and at the neutral position. Now, this is another important role of the university in the development of a smart city with these 4 players. And the smart city models, as I mentioned in my own definition, smart city is an ecosystem. So smart city, once the smart city is developed, this will automatically reproduce itself. So as this slide showed that this structure, the core structure of 4 players, will create new communities. This is the new type of PPP, and they solve the problems, as I written in the left-hand side. The problems are solved, and then the new problems comes, and gradually these activities of finding problems, finding solutions, implementing the solution, and the next one, these activities are going around like a spiral way, and the quality of life is gradually improved. And also from these activities within this new community, new ideas and new businesses will be created. So from this point of view, the city of such the city with such ecosystem will attract new people and new businesses, and so this is the new approaches, and also as I mentioned, the purpose of the smart city is not the efficiency, but make the city attractive for the people or for the business. And from here, I will just show some example of this the core structure in Japan. And in Japan, there are many urban design centers. I didn't count these, but about 20 of them are created. And UDC, we call them UDCs, urban design centers, and this UDC agenda, they call it agenda. This is the kind of say rules or the models of the activities, and there are 8 items. The first UDC urban design center is to be the hub of public-private people university partnership, and the second is to establish clear targets. It is very important for each different type city. So UDC is developed for each individual city or town. As you can see here, the urban development centers are not for the very big city. In the case of Yokohama City, which is very large, they have 4 centers which are limited to small areas of the city. So, and also some of these, I have written the name of the cities or towns, and some of the UDCs are for cities, but some others are just for a small neighborhood. But just this is an actual place for the people to come. So as you can see in the upper right photo, they have this kind of facility where the people living there can come and talk with other players, like from university or industry and the municipality there. So this is a kind of a community hub. And as you can see in the bottom photo, this is an example that the resident people and also the special professional from university and industry are discussing the future model of the area. And so in the most cases, they have this kind of mock-up model of the development in this urban development center, so that the people can come and see how their own city will become in 5 years' time or something, and if they have any new idea, they can exchange ideas with the professionals in this center. This is the way that the UDCs are operated, and so each UDC has established clear targets and strategy, and it execute them, just not talking or discussing, but it is very important to execute. And thirdly, the UDC to act always on actual field. So if some issue happen, they actually go to the place and discuss how to handle this. And so this is not just on the desk. And professionals, so on urban space design to lead the activities. So this is not just the gathering of the people living there, not just a very professional discussion by the professors or experts. And this is a mixture of the people living there, and the old people and young people, but still there should always be professional not the discussion among the ordinary people, but so to lead the direction of the discussion, the professionals or experts are always involved in the discussion, and the challenging new idea, and also it is very important that everybody to enjoy the activity. So to support this activity of UDCs, the participants of UDCs are always enjoying their own activity, and there are seminars of very ordinary to open and share the latest information and to expand the UDC network nationwide and worldwide. And this idea was created by Professor Kitazawa of Tokyo University. And here the Japanese word here that we used to use in Japanese, sankangaku. San means industry, kan means government, and gak means university. But Professor Kitazawa proposed to use the word komingaku. Ko means public, and min means both residents and private. And gak is also university. This is the how these two different words contrast. And in the sankangaku on the left-hand side is most commonly used. And san is, as I'm written in the left-hand side, san is the top letter of industry or business in Japanese. And kan is authorities or government offices, and gaku has two different meanings. One is the university itself and learning. It's not the structure but the activity of people. But komingaku is also very close to the sankangaku, but recently people started using this komingaku. And ko is public or official. And the point is that the min has two different references, like minkan, which means private, so that is the industry, and jumin, that this is the resident. So they in the same only in three letters, Professor Kitazawa tried to include 4 players. So as it is written in this diagram, the 4 players are included, and this is the same as the core structure of the recent understanding of PPPs. So this type of core structure is needed to promote the development of smart cities, and even in Russia and in Europe or in the States or in Japan. Now I will change the subject a little bit. And in recent phenomenon of the urban development, the streets have become offices and salon. And offices, in all definition, on the top of the slide, as you can see that offices in the past are enclosed room with office furniture. So the upper right photos. But now you have mobile devices like laptop, tablets, and smartphones, and the digital canopy, which means that everywhere is covered by Wi-Fi. And so the streets, squares, and parks you can work in these places. And so, in old days, streets mean passage from one place to another. So streets were used for moving from one place to another. But now, streets are used for meeting and talking with others and have become the cradle of innovation. That means that the innovation or creation of a new idea is proportional to the density of the people to meet other people. So without meeting other people, creation of new idea or innovation would not happen. So in many cities, there are the efforts to make the street more livable or more attract more people to meet together. And the lower left photos, these photos are just collected photos, but these are all from central Tokyo. So the new development of when they build new buildings, they set back the first, second floors and to make the pedestrian walking places wider, and also have more greens on the street. And this is this kind of making the street for people very much universal. And in Japan, in one of the big railway station, it used to be pooling of taxis, but they just moved the taxi area to another part of the station and made the road area in front of the station as a pedestrian area. And so this building, station building has commercial facilities like department stores and things. And by doing this, the sales of this area has improved, and more people come just for making fun and drinking, talking with other people. And Times Square in New York is very famous. They used to be a very congested by cars, but now most of the street in Times Square are for pedestrian. And along the river Seine in Paris, once the kind of highway along the river has been changed into the pedestrian walk, and also they brought the sand to the area, and this is just like beach. And this is a kind of example of tactical urbanism, and because this is step-by-step improvement. And also in the case of Seine, France, they don't invest much because the old structure is almost the same. They didn't build anything new, and they just stopped the cars, and some sand is brought, but no new infrastructure investment. And also in the case of and also this is the river Seine case. This is a step-by-step approach, and at first they just stopped the car on Sunday as an experiment. And they put benches and chairs and tables on the street, and then some small carriage shops came to the sell the food. So you can see there's some small cars with the food selling carriage. And between Monday to Saturday or Friday, they use the old way for the cars. And after carrying out this kind of experiment for Sundays, then during August, when most of the people go on vacation, and so the traffic becomes slower, then they tried the same thing for entire August. And they found that this would work. Then they just changed the use of the street for permanent all the year round. And this Osaka case is also, at first they just tried 3 days and returned to the old. But after this experiment of 3 days, they found that this is better for the surroundings and better for the business of the area and sales of the stores around the area. So they decided to have this for longer period of time. This is still in the experiment, and just this part of people's walking area is limited to some times of the year. But this is this type of gradual expansion of experiment or the trial, and finally it changes all the structure. Is really the step-by-step approach of practical urbanism. And now another approach, recent approach, is the urban development or urban planning, the mixed use. And just like the bring the people together on the street, this is more wider area, and bringing the different types of functions of the city into the same area. So in old days, the areas were zoned by functions. And as you can see on the upper left, this shows business zone, park, research and education zone. And so residential area and business area and commercial area are separately planned and located. Now, this mixed use area, this you have the commercial buildings and residential buildings and office building together in the same neighborhood. And this has this is the definition, like combination of offices, commercial and residential area, and this will create improve the opportunities of the meeting of different types of people together. So people are living in there, and in some cases in Tokyo, there are high-rise buildings of about, say, 40 stories high, and the lower 10 floors or lower 6 floors are commercial buildings. So there are shops in the ground to 6th floor, and then offices on the from 6, 7 to 20, and 20 to 40 residential area. That kind of buildings very common in Tokyo, and so they live, and so in the separate zoning type of urban design, then if you come to the office area, you don't see the housewives or children running around. But in this mixed use, all different people come together and talk, has the opportunity of talking to other different kind of people. And so this will, and one of the slide of the here. This lower left photos from central Tokyo, and some of these buildings are not just office, but the residential area they have the residential and the shops together. And so before they changed to this structure, the people, there's no people during the night or on Sundays, but so that area used to become ghost town on Sundays, but now there are some people walking around even in at night and on Sundays, because there are some shops there and attractive shops, and also people living in that neighborhood. So this will activate the improvement of the activities of the entire city, or it becomes more stimulating for the people to live there. Now, I have the subject is to Moscow Smart City concept, and you are quite aware that this is, I have picked up these keywords from Moscow Smart City website, and very much it is kind of advanced, because it is not very much technology centric, but part of activities are a little bit too much focused on ICT approaches. And so this is distinctive features of Moscow Smart Cities are e-readiness and the ICT infrastructure for better accessibility and reduction of management costs for local government. And so this is very much not for the people, because this kind of e-government type of approach is very good for people for the submitting reports and kind of application of formalities for the government, and also very good for the operation within the government, and also in the case of Moscow e-services, it is broadened to healthcare, to the application or booking of the doctors, and the education and transportation, and also different from the ICT, but the improvement of road traffic and public transportation is remarkable. So the current status of smart city in Moscow. This is my understanding of Moscow smart city approaches. One is e-services and very broad Wi-Fi coverage of the entire city, and also governmental services. The online services is improved, and also road traffic control has been very improved. But this from here, my idea is that this e-service can mean that everything is covered by something. So e-service can be the very broad implementation of Wi-Fi. You can use Wi-Fi everywhere, and upon this canopy, you can then use the municipality services and healthcare education. But there are still some non-technological measures like the far left, work-life place vicinities, mean that just like mixed use. So the residential facility and working facilities are close together in the same area. So this will reduce the need for commuting. And this will also reduce the need for the use of the transportation. And the inclusiveness of elderly. This is another major subject of smart city discussion in the States and in Europe, that by using the e-services like healthcare and education and the application to the government, how to handle the old people who cannot use this ICT gadget, and also not only in the case of healthcare e-services, where you can book the doctor's appointment online, but how to handle who is not willing to go to the doctor, because it is important to make these people conscious of the health. So this is a kind of not the technological aspect of the smart city, but to improve the welfare of the entire city. And from this structure or the approaches of Moscow smart city, then we expect, because I have been, as I told you that at the beginning, I've been visiting many smart city type of, people say that this city is good, and visit there and meeting with people in the world international conferences. And my personal view on Moscow is that Moscow is very good at with the environment to develop smart city is very good. And so I expect that Moscow has become the leading model of smart mega city in the digital economy age. And so, and also, it is new approaches of the to make smart city on the existing cities. And in the case of a very big city like Moscow or Tokyo, it is necessary to have two-layer approaches. This is my proposal. This is not the established the logic. projects that just like the Wi-Fi coverage and also road transportation, road traffic control, these kind of things must be covered the entire area. Otherwise, the effect of the implementation is not very much. But if you have some, and so it is necessary to have a combination between very broad but city-wide project like Wi-Fi coverage, together with specific project in limited pilot area, small area. And for example, the handling of old people and make the area that old people can walk around without using vehicles, and also to make some area that young people come together to meet, and at the same time they can work. That kind of, just like I mentioned earlier, that street becomes offices, open offices. So some area must have an open office area, or some area is very friendly for the old people. That kind of approaches are very important. And the open offices everywhere is very difficult. So, and once the area is defined for specific project, then tactical urbanism, the idea of tactical urbanism can be introduced to the development of this each specific area and project development. And here, Tokyo experience, this means that in Tokyo area, Tokyo is also a very big city, just like Moscow, and there's some spot areas, like as you can see in the red circles on the map, and the development of these areas are different at the different times, and I can't explain this on this slide, but as you can, this is just an actual development of the different areas. And Daimaru on the right hand side is near the Tokyo Station, Central Station. And Ikebukuro and Shibuya are other spot on the circle railway line. So the top left, the red circle on the top left is Ikebukuro, and the second from the bottom is Shibuya, and so these areas are separated. And the development project at Daimaru, which is the most right, the central part of the area, the development renewal of Daimaru started 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, and it is almost finished now. It took almost 30 years from the plan beginning. Then now Shibuya is the lower left, is the development of Shibuya, redevelopment of Shibuya is going on, and it will be completed in 2027. And then now the discussion of the redevelopment of Ikebukuro, which is upper left, is started, and they will start the development, actual development in 2020 or 2025. And so there's a kind of a circulation of the development of the different areas. And after, Daimaru is almost completed. The redevelopment of Daimaru is almost completed. But after the development of the Shibuya area and the Ikebukuro area, it will take 60 years. Now, then, the Daimaru will be old enough to rebuild again. So this is kind of a circulation of the redevelopment. And this one of my friend of urban engineering told this shrine transfer model at the top, the title of this. And the left-hand side photo shows the Ise Shinto Shrine is in Japan. This is the main shrine, the highest shrine of Shinto shrines in Japan. So the god of this shrine is the top god. In Japan, there are many gods, so just like Roman or Greek religions. And the queen of the god is the highest. And the queen of the god, which is the goddess of sun, is this shrine is just for this goddess of sun. And since 6th or 7th century, yeah. So more than 1,400 years, the building of the shrine has been rebuilt every 20 years. And the last rebuilding was made in 2013, I remember. And this is the new building. After this new building is completed, the old shrine is demolished, and the timbers are delivered to small shrines all over Japan for making their entrance or other things. Anyway, so they don't waste the timber, but every 20 years they change the buildings and they move the goddess from one old building to the new building. And this is called the shrine transfer. And actual purpose of this cycle is to maintain the skill of the carpenters to build special shrine buildings. But anyway, this has continued for more than 1,000 years. And this kind of rotational or circulation of projects is very much good, very applicable to the development or and gradual improvement of large city. Because Tokyo has completely destroyed twice, and at the very big earthquake in 1923 and air bombing by American Air Force in 1945, and the master plan or the big picture of the urban development was made after the earthquake in 1923. And even today, this plan is still used. So that plan was very well prepared, and the development of the city itself has been interrupted by the war and air raid and the burning, but still the major roads and major train railway systems were planned at the time of earthquake in 1923. And one of the examples here is that my voice is loud enough. Okay, so this is the circle railway, and here's Shibuya, and this is Tokyo Station, and this is the actual central part of Tokyo. And even before the war, about in 1930, this metro line was built. And so this to connect Shibuya to the central part of Tokyo. And there are many private railway companies, lines to come to Shibuya. And then just after the war, when Japan was still occupied by United States, they built this metro number 2, and to connect Shinjuku area and Ikebukuro area to the central Tokyo. And there are also private lines from Shinjuku to suburban area and Ikebukuro to outside of Tokyo. So the entire plan of connecting this area by private line and also bring this area to central Tokyo was already planned in 1920s, and after the construction was interrupted by the war, and all the area was bombed and destroyed. But when the World War II finished, only it was in 1949 or something, they built this blue line, and to follow the plan of the before made in 1920s, and so and other lines are also built, and this Shintora Avenue. This is Shinbashi and Toranomon, and so it's called Shintora. And this is Circle Road number 2, and it was planned in 1910s, but completed last 3 years ago or something. So it is very important to have a big picture And so big picture, but the technologies of building or technologies of making roads have improved, but the actual the big picture or grand design of the city has been continuously transferred to the generation. And this is the way that Japan or Tokyo or even other, for example, the other cities like Nagoya was completely changed after the war because they didn't have an earthquake. So, in the case of Tokyo, the plan before the earthquake did not continue. So maybe it is a very good time for the urban development to have the earthquake in 1923 because they already have, the concept of urban planning is started in the early, at the beginning of 20th century. So before that, they didn't have such kind of grand picture or grand big picture of the entire city, but in 1920s, it is the time that the government and Tokyo government and the national government had the idea of a planned city, and also, the concept of several circle roads and the road structure kind of thing. So even if the technology changes, they have the basic structure of the city remain. So recent, this is a kind of my criticism from my experience with working with Russian governmental people, not only Moscow, but a city which is closest to Japan. Can you guess which city is the closest to Japan? Vladivostok. And so the first one, Russian bureaucrats was strategy. And so as you are aware that now there's governmental relations. The relationship between Mr. Putin and Shinzo Abe, Japan's prime minister, are very good. And they meet very often. And there's 8 items of cooperation. And this includes the urban development. And Japanese firms, Japanese companies offer some strategies for Vladivostok. They receive and place on the shelf. Nothing happened. And so, from my experience, some Russian bureaucrats love strategy, but once they obtain the strategy, they would never establish execution plan and the strategy to implement the targets. And so, plans are basis of all the action, even if it reminds you of the Soviet days. I have heard, one of my Russian friend told me that
once you have established the strategy, the word, I don't know a Russian word for plan, but plan reminds you of Russian Soviet approaches. Is that true? And so, but as I mentioned, in the case of Tokyo development, even if it was interrupted in the world, the very big picture or grand design plan is the basis for the development. Even if the environment changes, circumstances change. So, strategic plan for the entire direction and vision are needed to align the step-by-step activities of tactical urbanism. Tactical urbanism is the very much grassroots approaches of the development of the area, and not without big investment and step-by-step approaches with the ideas of the people in there. But there should be some grand picture to guide all these activities to the same direction, to become coherent to the final goals. So tactical urbanization or tactical urbanism without base strategy or grand design will fall into catastrophe. And so, so everything is done individually, just by ad hoc approaches. This seems very active, but finally you can bring these activities to the same direction, and we know that to bring this same direction, it is very important to have a big picture as a grand plan or base plan or master plan, as the urban design people call it. So this is quite personal. My own personal comments on the approaches of tactical urbanism in Moscow development. But Moscow development is a very interesting case of the smart city development of big city, the mega cities. And so I'm not personally, I published a book on the current status of smart cities in the world last year. This is a Kindle publishing, and the subject handled in that book is the 2 years old now. So I'm now preparing the next book, and I'm very much interested in how the Moscow smart city activities are going. And of course, when I finish writing or publishing the next book, Moscow smart city approach is still going. So, but I will surely write in the book that Moscow is one place to look at for the people who are interested in smart city in the world. So personally, I'm very much interested in how this development in Moscow is going on. So this is the last slide of my presentation, and actually the planned time is 2 hours, and I have left 30 minutes for discussion and question. Thank you very much for your attention.
готовы достаточно времени на вопросы, пожалуйста.
Thank you very much for your lecture. I learned a lot. But the thing I would like to understand is what is your perception? Has Moscow already become a smart city? Or how far are we from the realization of this concept? How many years have you did?
It's very difficult because from my definition of the smart city, Moscow is trying to become very good smart city. But currently, the improvement of the road traffic is remarkable, and also the implementation of Wi-Fi and e-services are more advanced than other areas in the world. But the problem is that what kind of city, what the people living here, you would like to have as the capital of the country, and so the distance from the goal is calculated by which status of what level of quality of life you would like to have in current situation. So if you like to focus, it depends on the focus point. And if you like to improve just road traffic issues, if you are the city government official on the road traffic, then the improvement is very good. But still, there are some rooms for the improvement. But if you are if you are interested in other aspects of the quality of life of the people, then the measurement will be different. So your question is that it depends, and also I wonder if there is a common understanding of the goal of the Moscow smart city. I have, this is from the website of Moscow Smart City, and quality of life, better environment for citizens and businesses. Okay, better is very good word because if today is better than yesterday. Today is the goal. So very an efficient government, data-driven decision and strategy. Okay. How many decisions have been made by data and how many are still to go? But these goals are just ambiguous, and but it is very difficult to quantify the goals. So when I make this kind of lectures or presentations, I quite often ask which city is the best smart city in the world. So this, I don't have the answer to this question because each city has different problems and different approaches to solve the problem. So, it is just like to ask you which food is most delicious in the world. And so it depends on the culture around the food and your own taste. And so there's no answer. And so this is like, the Moscow, how far you still go is very difficult, or you can define your goal, and or and that the maybe this is a very important question for in the discussion with the government officials, and so there should be, as I mentioned in this picture, there are you can divide into several pieces, and for each piece you can define the goal and timeline, and you can measure the progress. And so it is necessary to structuralize the entire approaches to the smart city like this. This is just an example I'm proposing. There may be other approaches of structuralizing the project. Okay. Have I answered the question? Okay.
So you said that the universities play the important role between municipalities and the industry. And can you explain what role it plays? So they make researches, or what universities do in the concept of smart city? You said that they are like somewhere between the municipality and the industry.
Yes.
So what they do in this process? So they research, what decisions they make?
Yes, there are several roles for the universities. And like the urban engineering department of the university, or information system, so ICT department, or engineering department, they can work. The university have their own research subjects and research project, and if this research project is related to urban issues, then they can work with the cities to use the city as the field of study, and so you can bring your students into the project to work with the industry and municipality to develop the new solutions for the urban issues. And this is the role of the university into the research area of the smart cities. So this is, in this case, beneficiaries are universities. They can find their field to apply their study in the actual cases. And another case is that if municipality and people have different ideas, or if they have conflicts of on some issue, then university can make new rules between local government and the
But they
people.
don't have decision power. So like local government have power, and the universities how they can manage.
But the local government, this is a very difficult situation, because it depends, in order to have this structure workable, even if the municipality, local government has power, the new problem which happened between the local government and the people, they don't have the specialist or lawmaker kind of thing in this local government. This actually happened in Japan. When the urban development project is going on, they create the development committee or development council, and in that case, the university professors will be the chair of this council or committee because of the neutrality. And so the local government, even if local government has a governing power or political power, but still the university professor are part of decision makers. So it may be depending on how the authority of university professors are regarded in that kind of committee. This is also the kind of committee by the representatives from different stakeholders. And so I'm not quite sure if in Russia the local government is superiority over everybody else, or the new rules between the local government and people, local government and industry can be treated by the university professors or specialists. And so your question is that
now I understand that there should be some governments from above, so that the professors are heard by the local government and by residents. First part.
Actually, in the case in Japan and in the United States, when there's a conflict between two stakeholders, and then the university consulted the professors of law department or law faculty is consulted to create the local rules to solve the conflict between these stakeholders. And so in that case, the local government and the people agree. So this is just like adjustment between the two stakeholders.
Thank you. I had a question about what do you call them? These are QTCs. So I've got two questions. The first one is, to which extent do you think this kind of a system can be transferred to Moscow? Because mainly what we're observing now is that usually people who are interested in some kind of participation in what's happening to the city do not represent the majority. And so the second question that I have is, what are the methods to attract people to participate in such an activity in Japan, for instance?
Okay. activities, UDC activities are Japanese cases, but the similar structure are in the States and in Europe. And so this is also the new types of the PPP. And as I just touched upon during my lecture, that there's an organization called Envision Charlotte in the United States. This is a city of Charlotte in North Carolina. And this is the first case of in the United States to have 4 players together. And this structure has been transferred to the many cities in the United States, and also in Europe. There's another type of PPP called in Bristol city in United Kingdom. There's an organization called Bristol is Open, and this is also the same university and municipality combination. And these UDC and Envision Charlotte and Bristol is Open have their sister organizations in the region. And they are now trying to establish communication with each other. And so I think, once some similar structure is developed in Moscow, then the other organizations in Japan, in the United States, and in Europe will support the activities and to really establish their activity in Russia. And so the second question is very difficult to answer, but how, I don't know how the people can participate in this kind of organization in Russia, and how to find the people who are interested in participating this activity. In the case of Japan, actually, among the entire people living in the area, the people who are active in this UDC are very limited. So as you, but as you can see here, the people can walk in front of the UDC building facility, and inside the building they are talking on the future structure of the town, and somebody who are walking just outside and find what is going on and can go into the area and join the discussion. So, and if this gentleman or lady or old lady is not interested in this discussion, she will not come again. But if she is interested in, and if she says something and others respond properly, then they can, engage this lady into this activity. So important thing is that as you can see, this is an UDCK Kashimanoha case, and the structure is very open, and you can see what is happening inside. from outside. And not only this kind of discussion, but quite often, you know, there's a university very close to this center, and the postgrad students sometimes make presentation about urban development or urban environment or anything related to the area in the small area in this building, and this screen can be seen from the outside. And so when the people, mother with small children, can see what is talked about and can go into and can join. So this kind of openness is the core of this activity. And so but you know, in total, these people who are interested and find and come into are, of course, limited. And so maybe the percentage is not very high, but it is important to engage these people together. So I wonder if these approaches worked in Moscow, or you can have this kind of, you know, as I mentioned in this, so you can have UDC everywhere in Moscow. So, for example, you can make small areas with maybe residential part, not the office area, but residential area, had to have a trial of UDC Moscow and to make the communication with the people living there. So I'm very much interested in how you will handle this proposal, kind of approaches. UDC approach is very, I believe UDC approach is very good, and so how you can handle this project.
Actually, it is already happening in some of the regions, depending on the municipal authorities.
Yes.
Some of them try to make some kind of a conversation with the surrounding citizens. It might not always work that well, because finally the result might not be what they agreed upon, but still this is, well, at least we're moving towards this. Thank you.
Oh, that's very good. And
Last question.
somebody raised hand before. Okay. Then
First, thank you for your lecture. It was really informative and exciting. Thank you. And secondly, my question. In Moscow, we have some situation connected with reconstruction of old buildings. For example, renovation or government reconstruction of some museums. Now, some people, they approve this, but others, they argue that it can ruin the Moscow is a historic town.
Heritage.
Yes. So do you have this problem in Tokyo and Japan, and how do you deal with it? Is it possible to reach a balance between Moscow being modern and saying it historical meaning?
in Tokyo, not only in Tokyo or in most of the Japanese cities and historical building, the trend, global trend to reserve historical buildings. And so even in Nihonbashi area, now there's a new development. And this is just like Daimao, as I mentioned. And this is this used to be historical area, and but all the old buildings were burned during the World War II. Now the development, redevelopment is based on the high-rise buildings, but the facade of the building is even before the 100 years ago. And also, so this is the revival of that of 200 this scenery or landscape. The project is to revive the old landscape of the 200 years ago with the latest technology of building of 30 stories high. And this is the symbolic area of the merchant town of Tokyo in Edo period. And Nihonbashi is there is a bridge over a river, and now the bridge is covered by lifted freeway, and this freeway will be going underground, and the old bridge will be rebuilt. And that kind of historical, just not only preserving the historical building, but reviving the historical landscape is also done. And this Nihonbashi area is also called kind of smart city project in Japan to, so some kind of revival of the identity of the area and also improvement of the brand of the area. So historical building is the core of the branding of the area. So it is regarded as a core, and in other area in Tokyo, this is recent trend to make the historical ones to as a core of the development. And the last question, please.
Yeah, thank you. Is it possible to achieve effective data economy and data-driven governance, considering current legislation on personal data protection legislation? For example, in European Union, we have GDPR, which provisions of this law are rather strict to processing of personal data.
Yes, it is still the public discussion how you can use the personal data without infringing the privacy of the people. So I don't have immediate answer to the question because the discussion is still going. But as long as the data-based, data-oriented decision-making of the municipalities, there are two major approaches. One is that the government uses the data, which is anonymous-sized data for the policy making, and also there even if you have more data, then the forecast of the economy or even the forecast of the disaster recovery type of thing, the accuracy will improve. So the data-driven decision making itself is have positive effects to all the economy and also the governmental decision making, and also the originally I don't know the situation in Russia is the similar, but the American and European cities have their open data portal, and they provide their data open, and this will promote the use of the data by ordinary people, and then this will promote the startups, ICT startups, to develop new applications by using the actual open data from the government. And so this is another aspect of the data-driven industry, or the digital economy type of development. That one of the task or role of the local government is to collect data and make them open for the different type of use, like development of application and also the testing of the application kind of thing. And so my personal opinion is that opening the data and collecting data and making them open is very good for the digital economy, and the privacy issue should be solved in some way, but this is still under discussion. So this conflict between the privacy and the open data is not my, I don't have the answer at this moment, but I should watch. And also my personal view is that open data is the positive effect is more positive effect than the negative ones.
Okay. Michi, thank you very much for your lecture. It was rather interesting, but comprehensive, of course. Okay. We would like to small gift for you from Higher School of Economics. This is the after Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Спасибо большое, коллеги, за внимание.
Working in a specific area of environment issues, and having more conceptual approach.
да, да.
Хотите еще потом? Мне тоже сейчас надо зайти, и потом я не знаю, камеру этот мужчина поставил, и все, Женя убежал, я такой вещи не решала. Да, надо спросить, потому что это компьютер опас. Молодой человек. Ну да. А вот насчет камеры я не знаю, наверное. Да, хорошо, спасибо большое. Спасибо большое. Минуточку, подождите, зайдите к нам. Сейчас мы зайдем. Да, много интересного. Ну, я подумала, что, конечно, я хочу